Donald Trump is in Brussels meeting with NATO allies for the NATO summit, and the summit began with conflict right off the bat, which was expected considering some of the statements that Trump had made prior to traveling to Brussels. Now, there was a heated exchange between Donald Trump and the NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg. Stoltenberg has been very nice and complimentary toward Trump because it is my suspicion that he understands that's the only way that you could potentially get through to Trump in some way. And so even through this very combative exchange, you can see that Stoltenberg is trying to negotiate with Trump with a cool, calm, head intention. And Trump fights back by arguing that Germany happens to be a puppet for Russia. Yeah, so we're gonna get to the details of that. I'm gonna break it down for you in just a minute. But first, let's take a look at the first part of this exchange.
So if you go back 10 or 20 years, you'll just add it all up. It's massive amounts of money is owed. The United States has paid and stepped up like nobody. This has gone on for decades, by the way. This has gone on for many presidents, but no other president brought it up like I bring it up.
So again, that goes along with what Trump has been saying. The U.S. pays too much. Our allies pay too little. To be fair to Trump, as we mentioned yesterday, our allied countries promised to increase their spending on NATO back in 2014 after Russia had annexed Crimea. And they have not followed through on that, specifically Germany. Germany said that they would increase the spending to about 2% of their gross domestic product, and they have not done that. They promised to do about 1.5% by 2024. And the only reason why they promised to increase it is because Trump has pressured them to increase the amount they pay.
Now, to be fair to the European allies, they had actually been increasing all along, even before Trump came in. But I do believe Trump's pressure did help to ratchet that up. And so we try to give credit where credit is due. But there's a line between strength and bullying. So if Trump just stuck with strength and handled this behind the scenes and maybe tweaked them in front of the scenes, et cetera, and got them to increase their percentages, fine. But now, of course, because he can't help himself because that's who he is, he resorts to public humiliation and bullying and embarrassing everyone at the table. And, there's a breaking point. And at some point, they're going to break and they're going to do what is logical, which is, okay, well, then I guess if you're not our ally, we're going to go find other allies, especially economic partners. And there's a very serious consequence to this as well. Another thing he can't help himself with, of course, as always, is no other president was doing it, and now I'm doing it. Shut up already. Jesus Christ. I mean, everything's a stupid brag. What a silly child. And so my guess is that at some point, one of the other foreign leaders is going to snap, and justifiably so. And while Trump is going around doing his bullying act, they're going to stand up in public. Merkel did it a little bit here, but it is a tiny tweak. One of them is going to stand up and say, why don't you shut up already? You always run your mouth and you never know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know if any of them will go that far, although they should. But somebody's going to punch back, and then he's going to get his feelings hurt, and then we're going to have huge issues.
And you can't discount the allies who stood by our side after we were attacked. And that's the whole point, after 9/11, the biggest terrorism attack in United States history. And it's just interesting to see a U.S. leader, U.S. president, turn his back on these individuals, or these countries, I should say, after, they have supported us, historically have supported us in various situations. Okay, with that said, though, let's now go to Stoltenberg's response to Trump.
I agree that we have to do more. I agree with you that we have to make sure that allies are investing more. The good news is that allies have started to invest more in defense. After years of cutting defense budgets, they have started to add billions to the defense budgets. And last year was the biggest increase in defense spending across Europe and Canada in a generation.
Why was that last year?
It's also because of your leadership, because your clear message. And
they won't write that.
No, I have said it before. But the thing is that it really has. Your message is having an impact, and we are going to build on that to make sure that we have further increases. The U.S. military presence in Europe helps to protect Europe. It also helps to United States project power to the Middle East, to Africa, and I think also that the military clout of Europe, the economic clout, the political clout, also is helpful dealing with Russia.
It's what a pathetic child. And why was that? Why was that? Oh, Mr. President, also because of your pressure. Yeah,
because of your leadership.
Yeah, but they won't write that. The media won't write that. Hey, child, focus. This is our most important alliance. Can you focus on that for a second, other than yourself? No, he can't, because he's pathological. He's a narcissist, unlike anyone I have ever seen in public before. So how's the right way to do it or the wrong way to do it? Right way to do it is, yeah, we've got a lot of strength and leverage in America, and you want to get them to pay up more, you exert pressure and you do it in a strong way, that's fine. What part of that involves having to kiss your ass? Like if you say, hey, I'm going to use American power to deliver for American voters, citizens, etc., great, I want a president that strong. But if you say, and also you got to tell everybody, hey, it's me, then you're pathetic, man. It's sad watching this guy every day looking for. He's so insecure. How can you not see it? He's like the weakest man alive. Hey, somebody give me credit, please give me credit. It was me, wasn't it? Stop, it was me, right?
And ironically, he could have used that moment to really prove what he thinks of himself, which is that he is strong, that he is a good leader, that he is a good negotiator. Because if you listen to what Stoltenberg said, by the way, in an effort to finally get Trump to cooperate, he was very conciliatory. He was conceding exactly.
Battery is low. Please recharge in kind.
To this alliance, and we are going to do that, and it's because of your leadership. But what Trump does is, you're right, Cenk, he appears to be even more of a child by constantly wanting validation and credit. And then on top of that, the way that he's about to respond to Stoltenberg, and you're going to see in the video that I show you, I think it pushes people to not want to negotiate with Trump, to not ever want to concede with Trump. Because essentially, when you do agree with Trump, or when you do concede to Trump, he ends up looking at you as if you're weak, and then he doubles down. He attacks even further. So to prove my point, here is the next part of this exchange where he starts talking about Germany's relations with Russia. Take a look.
Well, I have to say, I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries, and then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia, and I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas. Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas.
Okay, so I have a lot to say about this. I do want to preface it, though, by saying that the pipeline is a bad idea for numerous reasons. However, Trump attacking Germany for having any type of economic tie to Russia is ridiculous, especially when you consider that the United States did a considerable amount of trade in energy with Russia during the Cold War. So I'll give you the facts and details on that in just a minute, but Cenk, I want you to jump in.
All right, so first of all, in another part, he said Germany, as far as I'm concerned, is captive to Russia because it's getting so much of its energy from Russia.
Battery is low. Please recharge in kind.
So he was accused of having fake news help him win the election in 2016, which was absolutely true, positively, no question about it. The fake news was overwhelmingly on the side of Donald Trump and the right wing. And what did he do? He flipped it and reversed it, and he's like, no, I'm not the fake news, you're the fake news. Which, by the way, of course, another childish thing. Oh, yeah, it doesn't stick on me, it goes on you, or whatever the kids say, right? Yeah. That's not rubber and glue. Okay, so And in this case, I'm not captive to Russia. You're captive to Russia. Got you. All right, Jesus Christ. All right, now, the part that is valid is that former German Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder has a very questionable deal with the Russians. He, right before he left office and after he was voted out in that interim period, he made a deal for this pipeline with the Russians. Then he goes over and immediately afterwards starts working for the Russians. That's crazy. That's crazy. He now is the head of Rosneft, the largest gas and oil company in Russia. So now, but the important part is, why does Trump care? You know, so some of the articles rightly point out, this circumvents some of our Eastern European allies like Poland and Ukraine. Let's pause to think about whether Trump would give a damn about that.
He does not. And just to, buttress your point, I mean, he seems to support the Russian annexation of Crimea, and he makes sure to mention that the reason he supports it is because there's a lot of Russian-speaking people in Crimea. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So I believe the actual reason that Trump is opposed to that deal is because we had a giant deal with Rosneft, ExxonMobil did. And I've told you about that many, many times, and that was a $500 billion deal, but its revenue could equal up to $9 trillion. It was an enormous deal with the Russians. So apparently, we, and in this case, the right wing and the Republican Party and Donald Trump doesn't mind making a deal with the Russians. Apparently, he didn't think it would make us captive to Russia, as he just accused the Germans of being. It's just that he wanted the deal and he didn't want the Germans to get it. So that's why he brings it up now.
Right. And also, just to give some credit to our allies and others who believe that this pipeline deal is a really bad idea, it essentially does make Germany a lot more dependent on Russia. So according to reporting, Germany is Russia's biggest export market in Europe for gas, with a dependency that may grow further once this Nord Stream 2 is finished. This is, by the way, the second pipeline. So this will again increase the dependency that Germany has on Russia for oil. Now, moving forward, why are other allies concerned about this? Well, let's take a look at what happened several years ago. Let's go to graphic 5. Amid the fallout over the Russian annexation of Crimea, Russia cut off Ukraine's gas supplies for weeks in what Kiev said was an attempt to blackmail Ukraine. EU pressure on Russia helped to eventually solve the conflict. So that EU pressure is important, and that included Germany, right? But if Germany is very, very dependent on Russia for its energy, for its oil, then it's less likely to be as vocal in supporting countries like Ukraine.
Yes. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about what appears to be brazen corruption by the former leader of Germany. But I don't think that Trump's concerns are the same as ours. Can you imagine? He's like, oh my God, what's going to happen to our ally Poland?
No
Okay,
concern.
couldn't care less, right?
Yeah.
And is he like, wait, this appears to be corruption. I'm really concerned about corruption, especially in a different country. Come on.
Very worried about that.
Right.
All right, so final part of this was Stoltenberg's response, and in it, just pay close attention about what he says regarding trade, because it is relevant. Take a look.
NATO is the largest of 29 nations, and there are sometimes differences and different views and also some disagreements. And gas pipeline from Russia to Germany is one issue where allies disagree. But the strength of NATO is that despite these differences, we have always been able to unite around our core task to protect and defend each other, because we understand that we are stronger together than apart. I think that 2 world wars and the Cold War taught us that we are stronger together than apart.
How can you be together when is getting its energy from the person you want protection against or from the group that you want protection?
Because we understand that when we stand together also in dealing with Russia, we are stronger. I think what we have seen is that...
You're just making Russia richer. Well, not dealing with Russia, you're making Russia richer.
So I think that even during the Cold War, NATO allies were trading with Russia. Then there have been disagreements about what kind of trade arrangements we should set up.
I think trade is wonderful. I think energy is a whole different story.
Okay, so I know, it's amazing. What Stoltenberg said there was 100% accurate, though, because European allies, along with the United States, did trade with Russia, with the USSR during the Cold War. And by the way, traded oil.
Okay, look, this is insanity. Nothing he said makes any sense.
Yeah.
So have we traded with Russia or other people that we consider not our allies, not our direct allies before? And now, all the time, we have hundreds of billions of dollars in trade with China, with Russia. We do. Not just Germany, not just the European countries, we do. In fact, Donald Trump just lifted sanctions on the Chinese company ZTE, which we were worried was spying in on us and causing national security problems for us, et cetera, et cetera. So what happened to, you can't, you want protection from them, but now you're doing trade with them? Yes! You can do both of those things at the same time. You can be concerned about Putin. You can be concerned about China and still do some degree of trading. Germany needs that energy. They got to get it from somewhere. We might not be happy with that deal, but of course they need trading partners. The energy in Europe is dwindling as a resource. They have to get it from somewhere else. And that leads to the final irony, which is that Trump wants to do an energy deal with Russia, with Rosneft. So I could understand everything, but not energy. Then how come you want to do an energy deal with Russia? What an unbelievable liar.
Right.
And he says, at one point in that exchange, he said, so explain that. And it can't be explained, and you know that. No, it can easily be explained if you weren't a child, if you did any homework, if you cared about your job, and you cared about anything relating to the American people and actually looking out for our interests. It reminds me of Bill O'Reilly with tides go in, tides go out. You can't explain that. Yes, we can. We have scientists that explain it. In this case, this is simple economics. Anyone can explain it if you bother to study it for 1 minute. And finally, the most important part of all of this is constantly questioning the alliance itself. For whatever imagined or real reasons, you're not paying enough of your bill, you're doing a trade deal I don't like, etc., etc. So now, what is the heart of an alliance? Don't attack any of these countries, otherwise we are an alliance and we will counterattack or defend ourselves against you. If now our adversaries think they're not really going to defend each other, and they have internal dissension. Now Trump is calling into question the entire alliance. Estonia is in NATO. Estonia has a lot of native Russian speakers. That's Trump logic. Okay? Maybe I go take Estonia and see if they're actually going to stick together. Well, that's certainly got to be crossing some people's minds. And if you have an alliance where it is not rock solid that you guys are actually going to defend each other, then it's not a real alliance and it encourages your enemies.
Bingo.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell.